So you set new goals, you choose a new direction, but no one really talks about the quiet, comfortable part of that growth. You know, the moment you realise, oh my God, I'm not who I used to be anymore, but I'm not fully her either. This episode is all about that, the space in between, the identity shift, the grief, the outgrowing, and the homecoming to who you really, truly are.
Welcome back to No Shoulds Given. Today we're continuing the journey from last week's episode where we talked about creating goals and stepping into your next level vision. YouTubers, apologies, we're looking a little bit bedraggled this evening. The year is kicked off, it's in full swing. We're recording this at the end of a full client day. So as uncomfortable as it is, we're practicing what we preach and showing up authentically.
Yeah, I've been dying with the flu as well for the last 5 days. But hey ho, what you see is what you get. So here's the truth that no one tells you. You can't create a new life while you're clinging on to an old identity. You don't or can't become the woman on your vision board by forcing habits, by pushing harder. You become her by releasing the identities that once kept you safe.
Reclaiming the truth of who you really are. And this stuff is tricky, isn't it? It's not there's no just in here. That word is banned because we appreciate that it is way more than a just. Although it's simple, it takes a lot of intention and a lot of effort at the start. So today we're talking about outgrowing the old version of yourself, grieving identities you once needed, reclaiming your truth, and ultimately living the no shoulds life.
Let's dive in. Outgrowing old versions of yourself. Blimey, I have outgrown that many versions. I have sat in this void for probably the last 2 years, and it is tricky, but it's all part of it. It's essential. It's what's needed to happen. So most women think that change is all about doing more, but it's not. That real growth is quiet, it's subtle, and it's internal. You sit more in yourself, confused, almost in the dark. This quietness, it almost feels slightly depressing, if I'm completely honest with you. And you think, what is wrong with me? Why am I feeling this way? Why I don't know who I am. I don't know where I am. Like, I literally want to blow my whole life up. Like, you just don't feel happy with where you are, and it's all a part of it. And
Yeah, it's really uncomfortable to start
it is
with.
really uncomfortable.
And sometimes,
even when you get used to it, it's still uncomfortable.
Yeah, and sometimes, like, the more you ignore the growth and that discomfort and that I don't fit here anymore, but you're still pretending that you do because you're scared to let go, the more uncomfortable it can be.
Yeah.
You can get unwell, you can have real physical blocks. Sometimes I feel like in rooms or in conversations, I'll be talking away, but I literally feel my body is like, my shoulders are up here, my body is completely rejecting that situation.
And genuinely, you know, they talk about the older you get, your group gets smaller. I'm not sure how much smaller mine can get.
It is like whiplash. You're like, oh God, I've got to go again.
And like you say, it's almost having those conversations and you start feeling a little bit irritated. It's like, oh. And then it really starts to get under your skin where it's really uncomfortable. And this is genuinely no disrespect to anybody. This is not saying they're not good enough anymore or, you know, they don't interest me anymore. It's not intentional. It's not deciding this. It naturally happens as you grow as a person. And your beliefs change, your habits change, your what lights you up, your passions, your joys, everything starts to change. And so then the people you surround yourself start to change, because you don't want to be that person that gossips about people anymore. You don't want to be that person that is surrounded by people constantly moaning about their weight and it's their only focus, when you're actually really confident in yourself and you're bloody 2, 3, 4 stone heavier than them. Like, and again, that's no disrespect, but we just progress and we move on in our own lives, and we all end up at different stages at different times. And I have absolutely no doubt that those people will probably catch up at some point, but we've just started to move forward on a different path, and it just becomes uncomfortable, doesn't it? And it's the same as, that behavior, or the way of thinking that changes within you. And that's the same thing. That's outgrowing that version of ourselves, because I used to think like that, or I used to behave like that, or you say that because I was protecting myself.
Yeah,
But actually,
absolutely.
one day you wake up and you realise, I'm just limiting myself.
Mm.
I'm
But
not that person anymore.
this stuff isn't just about the people around you. It, it audits your whole life, like what you're consuming. You start to read things on social media or people that you've followed, and you kind of catch yourself rolling your eyes or thinking, or it pulls you into a way of thinking, and then you find yourself like, I don't actually think that.
Yeah.
It's like a default setting that has kept you safe, and it's become comfortable. But then you're up here now, and then you're still looking back, and because it's what you know, you gravitate to it automatically. But then you're like, oh no, that's not how I feel. And like, we all know that I'm a massive fan of auditing, like what you're consuming on every level. But yeah, like social media, news, all of this stuff.
But even films and programs I used to consume, when I really opened myself up to spirituality, genuinely, I can't watch violent films or programs anymore. I just can't. I can't even explain to you how it makes me feel. I just cannot watch that shit anymore. I just don't understand the point of any of it. How is this fun? How is this entertaining? Like, I just can't.
Yeah.
The soaps.
Soaps. I knew you were going to say that. I was going to say that.
Yeah,
I
I
would
stopped
rather
watching
set
them.
myself on fire than
Yeah.
watch a soap.
I'll be honest, I started watching them again earlier this year because I found I had nothing to watch. And like you just want something to numb your brain in the background just while you're concentrating on other stuff. So I started putting it on again, and then I just find myself, why am I watching this shit? It doesn't make me feel good. It's depressing.
I have a theory that it is actually constructed to dumb society down. Because it just plays, like, they just infiltrate your brain about drama, crisis,
Yeah.
depression. So what you consume,
Oh,
you
the lack.
become. I know, it's on the floor,
Yeah.
isn't it? And what you
Yeah.
consume, you become. So
Yeah.
if you're in that cycle, and then you go and watch EastEnders or Coronation Street and you consume it even more, and then you're like, oh yeah, this is happening to me, poor me. It carries on, and I'm
Yeah, of course it
sure
does.
there's a government conspiracy to dumb society down.
Probably is in EastEnders.
Yeah, don't try and tell me otherwise.
Yeah. But listen, guys, many of the identities that we've carried, they're not flaws. And when Sarah said, now I'm up here, it's not pedestals, it's not anything. This is growth. It's just
It's
showing this
growth,
chart
yeah.
of growth.
It's not even up here, is it? Because it's a
not.
spiral.
Exactly, and no one's above anybody. We're all here to grow. Every human is not here to stay stuck. We're not supposed to. We're supposed to keep changing. We're supposed to be evolving. We're supposed to change our behaviour, the way that we feel and what lights us up. But these old versions of us, at times, they've been our survival strategies. They're things that we've learned. They're not necessarily our beliefs. We've just learned it through our conditioning and our upbringing. And then you get to a certain point in your life when you realize, actually, I'm not sure I really believe that anymore. If we're not even, I don't want to believe that anymore. And that's okay. But let's talk about some of the big ones. You know, those survival identities. And the ones that we're actually looking at today, I think both Sarah and I could tick every single one of them, and I'm sure our listeners can do exactly the same.
Yeah. And I think there is an element of none of these traits are bad. It's good to have ambition and strive to be better. It's good to care about others. It's good to want to keep harmony in your relationships. Yeah. So none of this is like completely rewiring your personality. It's about putting a bubble around you to protect yourself from overacting any of these parts to the point where you start to abandon yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you are naturally very giving, compassionate, we're not saying you've got to become a badass motherfucker that doesn't care about anyone, but we're saying it's that reframing to come from I want to do that, I'm choosing to do that, it makes me happy and it's good for them, but it's within my capacity.
And also I think that's a good point. Like, just very quickly, I used to think that I was a really good friend. I don't know why I'm doing that, because I am a really good friend, but my way of showing that was always being that one who texted every single week, every single friend, every single week to check in with them. It was like a full-time job. It was time consuming and it was exhausting. And I remember somebody saying to me, "You're a people pleaser." I was just so offended. I was like, "What do you mean I'm a people pleaser?" No, I'm not. I'm just a really loving person. Like, I've got a big heart and I care about my friends. I really genuinely do. So what is wrong with me checking in? And it was only one day I can't remember what happened now, but my eyes were just open to it when I just felt exhausted and I was going through a lot of shit with my husband and family situation in a particular scenario. And even though people knew about it, no one checked in. No one checked in to see how he was doing or how I was coping and I was just like, whoa, hold on a minute. This is like a massive life altering situation. Like, this could have blown my whole life to pieces, and no one checked in with me. No one wanted to, like, it just, and I just realised then that what I'd actually been doing was wanting to be seen as that incredible friend so people would like me. I had to be really open and genuine with myself. So it's like, it's good to be that person.
You're giving in that way because that's what you want to receive.
Exactly. Yeah. But I hadn't realised that, I hadn't recognised it. And people pleasing is seen as such a bad trait, like a real negative thing. And I couldn't see it. And then, yeah, I was just like, whoa, hold on a minute.
Yeah, I've got a bit of a bugbear about people pleasing this week. If you follow me on social media, you will have already seen my posts about it. I don't think it's a bad thing at all.
No.
I think at the moment the internet's got its big stick out of bashing people and thinking that you're failing if you please and are naturally that way. I think the conversation isn't nuanced enough, and it isn't going deeper around when it becomes a problem is if it's at your expense, if it's coming from that I want to be chosen, I need to be liked, they will leave me if I don't behave in this way. That's where it becomes a problem, and that's what needs to be worked on. You don't have to reshape your whole personality where you suddenly start being like, I see loads of stuff online about putting your prices up. If you don't put your prices up, you're a people pleaser. There's
a load of crap
of other factors. Like, admittedly, there is an argument that people might be scared of people leaving them, but I don't think that is necessarily completely rooted in a lack. Like, we're in business to make money. You know, I think there's got to be a calculated risk. Not every business is in a position financially where it can afford to lose those people.
Mm.
So yeah,
Equally, though, we need to look at where it comes from. Why do I behave, or why do I feel this way? Where does that actually come from? To actually understand yourself, and then we can make those changes. Like, it's, as I say, it's not negative.
It's a curiosity piece, isn't it? Look, let's go. Let's get into this. The good girl. Yeah? You need to get curious for you, because why I adapt good girl behaviour is completely different to why you do. It's completely different to why listener 3 does to listener 17. You know, you have to get curious and be like, when I am drawn into this agreeable, polite, easy, non-destructive peacekeeper, even when it's at my detriment, what is underneath it? What is that belief? Like, surface, broad belief is, if I don't upset anyone, I'll be safe.
Yeah.
But what is your version of that? Because safety for me in the last few years is very different to what safety is for you. But
yeah, of course.
It's a spectrum. So what does it
And I
mean
think
for you?
safety, I think some people won't relate to the word safety necessarily, but if they were to dig a little bit deeper, they'll realise that it was a safety mechanism, just not necessarily in a way of somebody who come from an abusive relationship. That they would use that word of safety, whereas somebody who hasn't been in that situation but has always been that good girl, always that people pleaser, if they were really to peel it back, it is a safety mechanism. It's a protection mode to keep yourself safe so you're not under fire or people
To
can't.
keep your caregivers close.
Yeah, of course.
And
To help you feel
amicable,
loved.
nurtured, loved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So the next one is the achiever, where she's kind of built on that productivity or over productivity, who is constantly striving for that success or outcomes, constantly needing to prove herself. So on the outside, she looks unstoppable, but inside, she's bloody exhausted.
This is
And her
me.
belief, yeah. And I think, yeah. And I believe that, it's like, I achieve enough. If I achieve enough, I'll finally feel enough. But when does that enough when is it ever achieved?
Because
No, it's not.
when you hit, let's take an income goal, for example. We hit an income goal, your life adjusts. You live to your means. It's not enough, because then the surplus isn't there because you've upgraded everything, and then you need to go again. I very much attached my worth to my productivity.
Yeah.
For a long time. And it's probably been, out of everything I've had to undo in the last few years, this one has been the hardest.
But I see it a lot in the coaching industry, where you see coaches gaining and achieving more and more certifications, more and more qualifications. And it's like, Jesus, to do what you're doing, do you really need 15 certifications in different different coaching modalities or qualifications or whatever it is? What else do we need to prove? And what are we proving it for? Because it's almost like I see people that go and they keep pointing out and putting on their posts, I've got all this, I've got all these like letters after my name, I've got this and then this and I'm this and I'm this and I'm this. I think it makes them feel like, well, what I'm doing is when somebody looks for a coach, for example, I'm the most qualified, so they're going to come to me. But genuinely, when I look at that, and I've seen these coaches constantly write these posts saying the same stuff, they're qualified in all of this, it's like, are you confused? Do you actually feel like you're not good enough or you're not doing enough? And it's actually got the opposite effect than what they're actually looking
That
for.
situation is rooted in a lack of self-trust, isn't it?
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
trust their own ability. They don't trust themselves to implement what they've already learned. And they feel like, I'll be good enough and I can put myself out there with this next certificate, with that next
It's like, oh, this
qualification.
next certificate is going to fix everything. I'm going to be successful when I get this next certificate. But you could have been successful 13 certificates ago if you could have just believed in yourself.
We're not using the word just.
Sorry. If you
But it
could
is.
believe in yourself. It's not just, it's a hard task to be able to trust and have this self-belief. Trust me, we've both been there, as everybody in the whole entire world has been. But it is that simple. It is simple, but it's the hardest thing. It's self-belief and trust. Let's stop sacrificing ourselves and start being more self-defined.
To that. So the next one, definitely a bit of me again. The fixer. She's the rescuer, the anchor, the one who holds it together. She
Holds it together and herself, all
yeah,
by herself.
it's
Yeah.
amazing how much the fixer can hold it together. Empty.
Yeah.
And that becomes your whole personality.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, you're led by a nervous system that is completely on edge and hypervigilant all the time, putting everything into other people. If they're okay, then I can relax, or I'm good enough.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the fixer, that behaviour is the mirror. The
Mm-hmm.
fixer, and I can say this from experience, and there is no just attached to this at all because it's really difficult, and this is a dark one to sit with. The fixer needs to turn on her heels, and what she's trying to do for other people is what she needs.
100%. 100%. But she's too protected to allow herself to ask somebody else to help. It's not safe to be vulnerable. You know, it's easier and safer to be the fixer for yourself and for everybody else. And that's the other thing, like you said a minute ago, you know, it becomes your whole personality and it becomes a huge expectation from everybody in your life as well. Oh, that's all right. Sarah will fix it for me. She'll sort it out. Oh, I know. I'll just dump my whole
Oh
life,
yeah, it's
emotions.
self-perpetuates really fucking quickly because no
Yeah.
one else wants to take any responsibility for their bullshit because they know that Sarah's going to come along and fix it all. And then
Exactly.
you create this situation that is breaking you, but
Yeah.
ultimately, I told you it was a difficult one to sit with. You have to hold your hands up and be like, oh, I created this. So like we spoke
Equal.
about before, it's like, oh, and I'm not excusing people that can't take responsibility or accountability, but the fixer enables
Mm.
as well. So you
Yeah.
do have to take a step back and think, well, I'm trying to be chosen, I'm trying to be enough, but you're not. This is like, there's no boundaries here, there's no respect. People are jumping all over that, and then you're going, oh, that hurt, that was a bit shit, I don't really like this situation. And then that protection kicks in, and you go, but I want everybody to be all right, and my worth is tied to my productivity, so this is a situation that I need to fix. And you want to keep the peace, and so then you become all of the things, and it starts again.
Equally, though, what happens when people stop relying on you and you're not that fixer, that fucking hurts too. Because all of a sudden, your whole personality and identity has taken a massive kick. I remember this happening to me, and it's like a fucking stab in the heart. And I was like, why? What's wrong with me all of a sudden? I'd chosen to change this situation. And then all of a sudden, when people didn't need me to fix things, I was like, I don't know what to do with myself. Like, and I took it really personally. And it's like, what the fuck?
I know. And
but it's been your identity for almost your whole life.
yeah. And
It's a
quite
big
often
change.
in this one, for the complete interest of transparency, when you are trying to reparent yourself, let's put it that way, through these fixing, achieving behaviours, don't be surprised if you create problems that aren't there so you can fix them for a while, because that stillness, that equal level of give and take in relationships or just in your world generally, and that quiet is unnerving for your nervous system. It's used to being thriving in those chaotic environments that need fixing and saving. So quite often when all of that, the dust settles, you will then start to not know what to do and start creating little dust storms to go and fix because it feels comfortable.
Yeah, and it's nuts because you can be in a situation that doesn't feel safe and you know it's not safe. But as soon as you come away from that situation, your nervous system instantly goes into that reaction mode of it's safer to go back to the danger and the unsafe place because you're so used to feeling that way, being in that situation, even though you know is dangerous and you don't want to be there anymore. Your nervous system and your ego will keep telling you you need to go back, it's safer, because when you're actually in a safe place, and I genuinely mean that, when you've made the change, your nervous system is so not used to it. It doesn't know what's happening in the unknown. So that's scary. So the easiest thing to do is to go back to the place that you've been desperately trying to get out of.
Yeah.
And that's where you'll get that to-in and fro-in. But it's only when you can allow yourself to sit in the fear, sit in the nerves, and just remind yourself of what it is that you truly want, where it is that you're going, what the kind of life and daily, situation that you want to be in, and that you are safe in this place of unknown, and calm your nervous system down. There's lots of different ways that you can do it. I know it might sound ridiculous, but put your hands on your heart and tell yourself how safe you are and take those deep breaths. Then that can be enough to start calming yourself down. So the Peacekeeper, who can relate to this one? Where you avoid conflict at all costs. This is my hubby. You smooth the tension. You absorb all the discomfort. And you disappear so others don't feel awkward. Harmony, peace, joy for others is more important than your honesty. And when we talk about honesty, I don't know about you, but when someone goes, I'm just honest, I'll say it how it is. I don't know why I've just said it like that, but hey. You instantly think somebody who says that in a statement in that way is like, oh, great, so you're just a bloody troublemaker then that just thinks you can just shut your mouth off and be nasty to people. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're not talking about calling everybody an F this, that, and the other. People, maybe your boss and you walk out your job or whatever it is. It's about keeping the peace when maybe your partner's upset you. And you keep putting up with the same selfish behaviour, just as an example. And it might be something ridiculous, like he watches the football every flaming night. What about what I want to watch? It doesn't have to be big. But you keep it in, you don't say anything, you allow this frustration to constantly build just so you keep them happy. Just because you don't want to cause a massive argument.
Yes, when you want to say no, isn't it? Like agreeing to, I don't know, go out when really you don't have the money, you don't have the time, you're like, you're going to have giving yourself a half an hour turnaround, which is ridiculous. You're anxious just thinking about it. Yeah, that's fine. it's not fine. And then
Yeah.
that kind of honesty,
Yeah.
the yes and no. Um, yeah, this stuff's uncomfortable.
But do you know what? The truth of the matter is that when you actually start to tell people how you truly feel and that actually that's not all right for me, it
No,
creates that deeper connection.
yeah, you're right. Because if you don't ever say, I want to watch Coronation Street tonight, how do they know that you don't want to watch the football?
Exactly. It's always been all right. It's been all right every night for
Yeah,
the last 3 years.
because you haven't
So why is it
challenged
a
it or
problem
said
now?
anything. You do have to spell it out. They don't have a crystal ball and they're not very good at picking up on hints. But, and you don't have to fix all of this in one go either. You know, you don't listen to this and think, oh my God, I'm the peacekeeper, I'm the overachiever, I'm the good girl, I'm the strong one. I need to stop doing all of this right now. It's about getting curious and seeing where it comes up. And where are you not speaking your truth or, compromising when it's uncomfortable, even if it's not in your best interests? Where are you doing that? What changes can you make?
Yeah.
Some are going to be easy, some are going to go wrong, some are going to cause a massive argument, and you're going to think, oh, but you just
Wish
need
I never
to,
said anything.
yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah.
Um, just lean into it and keep exploring and think like once a day, like what can I do today that is going to go against that in a way that isn't going to cause like World War III, lose your job,
Yeah.
divorce, any of them.
And what about the strong one? Oh my God. She's the one
Yeah.
who copes. She handles everything. She just gets on with it. There's no tears, no weakness, no cracks. Her identity is just built on resilience. But it can all become emotional isolation. I'm a big one with this one.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a lot
and
of me. Yeah.
yeah, that feeling like I can't be vulnerable because I'll be a burden. I can't be vulnerable because I'll think I'm weak. I can't be vulnerable because that means that I need to try and rely on somebody else, and I'm only ever used to relying on me.
Yeah, it is difficult again, but I think as you start to unlearn some of the other ones, your sense of worth increases, you're more open to support and just vulnerability in general. So that strength isn't needed as much. Asking for help or having those conversations and saying, I may look like I've got my shit together on the outside, but right now I'm drowning.
Mm.
It becomes a little bit easier.
I think I found this one the hardest one for me, and I still struggle with it, if I'm completely honest. But how I have managed to overcome it is actually by the people I've met more recently. Because old friends, relationships, they still expect me to be the strong one. And when I've tried to be vulnerable, I've not been met with the support that I needed. So that has instantly made me shield up again.
Up, yeah, I hear that.
Exactly that.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what I found is, and it's been incredible because these are friendships that have been found from nowhere, like you being one of them, and another friend who I speak to every single day, doesn't live anywhere near me, who I've been speaking to every day for the last 2 years that I just happened to meet online. Like, these are friendships that have come out of the blue. I had a session with you, didn't I? A one-to-one session with you, and that's just flourished into a friendship. But I don't have any issues with voice noting you crying down the phone, going, oh, like this is going on, or yeah, and that doesn't feel like weakness to me. It just feels like I've got the right support around me. But I don't necessarily feel like I can be that open with everybody in my life. So it's a gradual process for
It
me.
is a gradual process, and it is a little bit of trial and error. And I think,
Because I don't know about you, I feel like if I'm not met with the um support that I need, I instantly feel like I've been rejected.
yeah, I'm not good enough. There's something wrong with me.
Why can't they
What have
look
I
out for me?
said?
Yeah.
You know, in the
Why
beginning,
can't they give me the same that I give them?
like, did I forget? So, like, looking back through messages, have I forgotten
Yeah.
something? Have I said something wrong?
Yeah. But actually, maybe they're just not able to meet me at the level that I need them to be. Maybe it's not about me. Maybe it's about them.
Yeah, it's about that creating that safety, isn't it? And little kind of moments of honesty. Like, we didn't get to crying down the voice notes at each other on day one.
No.
It gradually is like a little opening up here, a little opening up there. The way you've responded when I've been in a vulnerable situation, and I'm like, oh, actually, like, Lisa holds space for me. She gets it. She is there. I'm safe to do this now.
Yeah.
And there are still times where both of us are like, oh, I didn't want to burden you. Sorry, I've been quiet. I
Yeah.
was like, something was happening, and I didn't want to spoil your weekend or whatever. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, we pretty much know what each other's had for dinner every single day. But sometimes there are times where we need to go quiet, or we don't
I
have the
know when you get
capacity.
quiet, you're going through something.
Yeah. So having the right people around me for the first time has felt amazing, but it's been a gradual exposure to allowing myself to be vulnerable, allowing people to support me as well, because I've been like a little prickly, spiky ball a lot of the time and thinking, well, you're just going to let me down, so what's the point? But it's worth doing, honestly.
Well, yeah, because you find the right people in the end, don't you? You know, like you have.
You have.
Yeah. 100%. So, where in your life, listeners, do you feel a quiet sense of, I've outgrown this version of me?
Nice. Sit in the quiet with that one and see
Yeah.
what comes up, or get your notebook out, journal on it, and just free write
Yeah.
what
I
comes out.
really want you to understand that quite often when we start to outgrow ourselves and we start to change, we look at it as a negative thing, but it's not. It's not a negative thing that you're changing, you're evolving, and it's not a negative thing that things or people or situations around you no longer fit your narrative or how you feel. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
It is difficult. We do go into a place of grief. Trust me, I have been there many times. It feels, as I said earlier, like a black hole. It has felt like depression. And growth always comes with grief. Even when your life is expanding, I know now when I have those feelings, it's because I'm going through a huge expansion. You're still saying goodbye to those things that are familiar to you. So you might grieve the role that you no longer want to play. You might not want to be that fixer. You might not want to be the strong one anymore. You might grieve the version of you that others felt comfortable with, because all of a sudden that relationship with people you can feel and you can see is starting to change, and it hurts. It does.
Yeah, it's
Because,
a bit lonely, isn't it? It's
yeah,
confusing. It does feel a bit like failure.
yeah, it does.
And another journal prompt is, what identity are you grieving, and what did it give you?
Mm. Losing people who preferred the smaller version of you is not a negative. It feels hard because, as I said earlier, your circle keeps getting smaller. So it feels like you're failing. You're feeling like you're misunderstood. It feels lonely, but it's not failure. You're not wrong. It's a good thing.
When you've asked yourself, what identity are you grieving, and what did it once give you, then you can kind of see the shedding. You can get it. You get it all down on paper. Like, acknowledge it, honour it, thank it, release it, because it makes space for what's going to come in. It's not, like we said, it's not reinventing a whole new version of yourself.
No.
If we're honest, it's you. It's the real you. You know,
it's letting go of all the preconditioning, all the shitty beliefs that you were given and forced on you that you wouldn't have realised, because beliefs are only opinions. So we're letting go of other people's beliefs. We're letting go of other people's habits, opinions, other people's bloody burdens and shit on our shoulders, the weight. We're letting it all go. And we're finally shedding the shit from everybody else and realising under all these layers who the fuck we are. And this is what it's all about. No forcing. No performing. We're just coming into, and I know you hate this word, alignment. Alignment of who you are. Discovering who you are.
When you start this stuff, if you really are at the point of, I cannot be this version of me for the rest of my life, when you start it and you make friends with that uncomfortable, and you know that the wobble, I always say the wobble comes before a win, when it gets really uncomfortable, that's when it's about to get good again. It gets a bit addictive. You get to a point of like, okay, throw it at me. What's coming? How uncomfortable is it going to get? Because I know the other side of this is going to be the good stuff.
Yeah.
It's going to land. It's going to sink. I'm going to, grow that few more inches into my next self.
Yeah. And with it comes clarity. Comes less noise. Self-trust over external approval. You start to have that confidence, that groundedness within you of knowing who the fuck you are, what you believe in, what makes you tick, what your values are. You stop asking yourself, what should I do? And you start trusting the direction that you're taking yourself into.
Yeah, that's what should I do with what aligns with who I am now. And then that adds identity and action meet up, don't they? It's always in little small promises to yourself every day.
So if this episode resonated, I invite you to journal on this one question. Who am I when I'm not who I was? Yes. So if you're moving through an identity shift and you want support integrating it, this is the work that I do with my clients through IRT and deep coaching, dissolving the fear, releasing old identities, and helping you step into your next level with clarity and confidence. So if that does feel aligned and you want to discuss that in more detail, then drop me an email, no shoulds given pod. So thank you for being here. And remember,
you don't have to live a life of shoulds. You get to live a life of truth. So thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.
See you soon.